Southern Maryland's weather leader. This is a JB Weather Alert.
All right, and good afternoon, or good evening, I guess, at this point, everyone. I'm Forecaster John Bordash with you here to give you your Tuesday night forecast ahead of a very active weather day tomorrow. We've already declared a weather alert for the day tomorrow as we look to have a significant weather day brought to you by multiple threats. We have a flood threat, we have a tornado threat, we have a lot to talk about, but we will break everything down. I do want to first start with, two things. I brought back the ticker from the winter. That's a thing you see scrolling there on the bottom. I think that will help to kind of relieve a lot of the questions of people who may be turning in late, or you want to know something, but I'm not talking about it. Down below, you will see the big weather headlines. I think that most people will want to know, and that'll be going the entire time. So you're more than welcome to look at that. And if you don't see the information there, then of course go ahead and leave a comment about that. So additionally, we have a tornado watch already for areas out to the west. This is for southwestern parts of Virginia until 3 o'clock in the morning. This is going to be where a couple of tornadoes are going to be possible. 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts and flash flooding will be high across this region. And I say this not because it directly impacts our weather, but it does show you that tornado threat we're tracking for tomorrow will be very, very real. And for those of you just now tuning in, hello. Again, that headlines are down below for the most up-to-date information. If you're just popping in quick to see kind of what the big headlines are, take a look down there. Go ahead and make sure you're following JB Weather on all social media accounts. You can see those going on should be the right side of your screen. It's the right side of my screen, at least the way I'm looking at this. Below our sponsors, all those links are there. Getting updates on Twitter seem to be the fastest during severe weather situations. I would definitely recommend that. Right now, as we head on over towards radar, let's bring that screen up. Well, we can see that tornado watch you see there in red. You can already see the rain beginning to show up. We have a couple of tornado warnings even right now. We've seen tornadic cells moving through the Virginia Tech area this evening. That tornado threat won't get here right now, but that rain will begin to overspread parts of the region as we head throughout the day, tomorrow. So coming back on over here to our graphics, let's go ahead and get that tornado watch away. I think this is going to be the biggest and the most useful graphic I'm going to be able to show you over the next several hours, or over the next 18-24 hours. This, I think, gives you a good idea of kind of where my head is at in terms of timing, in terms of how bad impacts will be. I think that the rain threat will be present overnight, but then we're likely to see a break in the action as we head through tomorrow morning. But then as we head towards tomorrow afternoon, we will have the potential to see heavy rain. That wind threat, not super high, but it is, I would say, at least a little moderate. We could see 25 to 35 mile-an-hour gusts tomorrow, which could lead to isolated to scattered power outages across the region. Likely not widespread outages, but I wouldn't rule out some power outages in some neighborhoods, especially ones with plenty of trees. We've had a pretty wet summer so far. We've had a couple of bad storms, so those trees are going to be worn down a little bit. And of course, tomorrow we have that threat of a tornado as well. On Twitter, at JB_weather, I did do a flash 10-minute poll right before this asking what people wanted, where I should start this broadcast with, the flood threat or the tornado threat. Overwhelmingly, people wanted to start with the tornado threat, and I am more than happy to start there. Again, we have that risk of a tornado tomorrow, and when I made this graphic, it was there. It wasn't, super, super high, but our latest guidance this afternoon has shown an increased tornado threat across our region as we head towards tomorrow. Again, the highest tornado threat is going to be, I think, across parts of our region with the way that Ida will be tracking across our region. It will help to set up the heaviest rains to our north and west. So I think if you're looking for 10-inch plus totals, you're going to want to look towards western Maryland and central parts of Pennsylvania. And again, we'll talk about that more in a second. We'll have heavy rain here in southern Maryland, but I do think because we're going to be on the southern and eastern part of that track, and because I think we're going to be able to get in on some warm temperatures tomorrow, the threat is there for thunderstorms to roll through, and those thunderstorms will be very prone to rotate as well, so keep that in mind. But again, starting with that tornado threat, the storm outlook for tomorrow, and I know it might look a little fuzzy for you. My apologies on that, but much of our region has been upgraded to an enhanced risk of seeing severe weather tomorrow, but this is primarily a tornado-driven outlook. Typically, when we do tornado outlooks, or the Storm Prediction Center does tornado outlooks, they use percentages, and these percentages, I'm going to tell you, will not seem very high at all, but trust me, they are significant. On any given day, our chance of seeing a tornado is close to zero. It's around 0.2 to 0.4%. In that green zone well out to the west, that's where you have a 2% risk of seeing a tornado tomorrow. That is elevated. And that yellow risk, the yellow risk area, that is a 5% chance of seeing a tornado. Again, far cry from 100%, but that is more than 5 times the normal amount chance you would have to see a tornado. In that orange area, that number goes up to 10%. So it is not a guarantee everyone in this orange polygon here will see tornadoes tomorrow. We have no tornado warnings or watches in effect for our area, but that threat is 10 times higher tomorrow that we see a tornado than on any other given day. I don't think everyone in that area will see a tornado, and it's very possible we may only see one rotating storm anywhere in our region, and it might not actually move through southern Maryland. It can move to our north. It can move to our west, and the purpose of these storm outlooks, it's not to tell you this is what's going to happen. It's to give you a probabilistic idea of what could happen, and I think that is a thing not a lot of people understand about weather and meteorology, especially with the weather. We have a hard time really trying to hammer down details, and anyone that tells you that they can with pure accuracy isn't telling the complete truth. Tomorrow, we will really need to see where these best atmospheric dynamics occur, and even tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, right before this event kicks off, we likely will not have a good idea of where or when a tornado will touch down. The purpose of these forecasts is to give you an idea of where a tornado is the most likely to touch down, but a tornado could touch down anywhere tomorrow, and these likely won't be strong tornadoes like the EF4s, EF5s. These likely will only be EF0, EF1. These tornadoes associated with tropical systems are not typically super strong. This isn't a Midwestern severe weather outbreak. These are brief, weak spin-up tornadoes, and I say weak because any tornado is impactful. But it is these tornadoes tend to be weak and they tend to be brief. But we could see a couple of those rotating storms tomorrow. What does this risk really mean for you? Again, we're talking the potential for damaging wind gusts tomorrow. By and large, I think we're talking 25 to 35 miles per hour, but underneath the strong thunderstorm, you could get 60 to 70 mile an hour gusts tomorrow. Several tornadoes are possible, and that is stronger language than I used this morning. This morning I was saying a couple of tornadoes, but we could see several rotating thunderstorms that develop as we head throughout the day tomorrow, which we will talk about in just 1 second. Significant flash flooding risk exists as well in the time frame. I think all day tomorrow is fair game, but I'm really honing in on that potential of noon to 8 o'clock tomorrow. I think it's going to be the window you need to be the most weather aware, but you need to stay weather aware throughout the day tomorrow. As we move forward here, we additionally have that flooding risk. We have an exceptionally rare, extreme risk of flash flooding across south central, really most of southern Pennsylvania on up into the New York City metro area, southern parts of New England. Any interest there, and I do indeed live right near Harrisburg, need to be taking this threat very, very seriously. This is the region we could see 6 to 10 inches of rain. Outside of that, we have a significant risk, also rather rare. This is centered for the most part to the north of our region, but this in the significant risk, this is where numerous life-threatening flash floods will be possible, with that extreme risk showing where life-threatening floods will be likely. Widespread life-threatening flash floods. In our area, we're talking about an elevated risk. I know that does not seem as high as level 3 or level 4, but we start every day off at a level 0, so the fact that we are up to a level 2 is rather significant within itself. This means that we're talking about the potential of scattered flash floods, and 1 or 2 could be life-threatening. And I see a really quick I just saw a comment about how much rain for St. Mary's. Take a look at the headlines. But do I think this is going to move south? The likelihood that this shifts completely south is very low, but it is possible that we do get some areas of heavy rain that move through, which I'll show you on Futurecast here in just one moment. And I see another comment, will this impact the school day? I think, at least when I was going to school in Copper County Public Schools, there wasn't really one time where flooding alone caused school closings or delays. I vividly remember, I think it was my freshman year of high school, we had one of these types of setups. And I lived, you had to go, it was in the ranch club, and you've been through the ranch club, you know, the twists and turns in there and trees, and you get some hills in there, and the hill was flooded, and the school bus was just there and was like, who was going to walk? Like, so the potential is there that we may see some school impacts, but I don't think that's going to be likely. In terms of how much rain, this is the latest information we have coming in from our computer guidance this evening. I wouldn't take these totals verbatim. This is to give you, again, an idea of how much rain could fall. Many of our models paint the potential of 1 to 3 inches of rain across our region. Localized totals to 4. And I did have a question on Twitter today about what does that term localized amounts mean. I'm sure you've heard me use it in the winter. I say 3 to 6 with locally higher totals. That means that localized communities, 1 or 2 communities in our region, may see more than 3 inches of rain tomorrow. But I don't think enough towns will see more than 3 inches of rain to qualify needing to change the forecast. I think those higher totals will be the exception and not the rule, but I could be wrong, and I do want to stress that. This is an imperfect science. I likely will be wrong in some locations. I don't think everyone hits an inch tomorrow. I think probably 80% of us do see an inch of rain tomorrow, but some of us may not. So this forecast could underperform and it could overperform. This is kind of that middle 60 to 75% percentile range, I think, where you're probably going to end up somewhere in here, but it's possible you end up on either sides of this, and that's true with every forecast. You can see that and yes, shout out to the Ranch Club. Lesbia repping, and trust me, yeah, those Ranch Club roads. Ryan tries to drive them now, and it's all done. But the highest rain totals will be likely north and west of D.C. This model earlier was painting upwards of 10 inches of rain in the Hagerstown and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania areas. That has since come down at least a little bit more realistic to that maybe 3 to 6, 6 to 10 inch range up there. And I think in our region we're probably looking at a little bit more, like 1 to 3 inches. Some locations see a little more, some locations do see a little less. With this in mind, we do have a flash flood watch in effect for the day tomorrow. The last I checked, this is scheduled to start at 11. They may have moved that up a little bit, but flash flooding will be possible all day tomorrow, and it doesn't expire until Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Again, 1 to 2 inches of rain will be possible, but localized amounts up to 4 inches definitely going to be there. So here are the big headlines I think spelled out for you. Then we'll get into Futurecast, and then I'll try to get into some of your questions. I think generally 1 to 4 inches of rain in our region with 3 to 6 inches possible northwest of I-95. Heaviest rain is likely going to occur Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening. I think 12 o'clock to 8 o'clock will be the highest flash flooding risk and the highest tornado risk. We have not just an elevated threat, but an enhanced threat, not just for a couple, but now several tornadoes. So an enhanced threat for now several spin-up tornadoes tomorrow. That's why it will be critically important you stay with JB Weather for the latest information. And you want to consider protective actions if you are in an area vulnerable to flooding. We're thinking areas that are a little bit more urbanized, and I know that term urban is really weird to use with Southern Maryland, and I'm not just talking about Waldorf, but we're talking about areas that do have some business development. I think of areas like Leonardtown or Lexington Park, or even, like, again, I'm from Lesbia. I'm thinking maybe down towards the Wise. I want to call it the Food Line, but the Wise down there in Lesbia, or maybe areas out in Solomons, even areas there near the Burger King. Growing up, that intersection there for Route 4 always tended to flood. You could get a shower and you'd have 4 inches of water standing there. And when I was growing up in the Ranch Club, leaving the Ranch Club out of the front gate, that always flooded. They always had to call in the fire department to, take care of that. So that's to say, we're not just talking about big cities. Areas with poor drainage, areas that are built up a little bit will have that potential. Prince Frederick has that potential. Areas on over California has that potential. Hughesville has that potential. I think everyone has that potential to see significant flash floods tomorrow. I do want to go ahead and go and show you a Futurecast quickly here. Well, not quickly. We'll walk through it. This is Futurecast for this evening, showing scattered rain showers across our region. As we push this through, though, let's go ahead and let this render. Again, as we head on over towards 10 o'clock. There we go. 11 o'clock. 12 o'clock. You can see rain widespread. We're seeing those cells begin to pop up, and I will be watching these cells. You could see some of these cells, and I'm just not realizing there aren't any city labels on here. So actually, I want to make sure I fix that. So I might actually have to take you inside the computer system here to show you that, which I want to do so you know exactly where you are on this map, because I know we have several people that move into our region associated with naval bases or something like that that don't always know where they are on the map just because they're new to the region. So I do want to make sure I get that loaded up, so I'm sorry, give me 1 second while I do that, and sorry that I'm not looking at the computer or into the camera at the moment. But please, if you have questions, make sure you leave them in the comments. I will try my best to answer them. I know I had a little rant earlier about answering questions. I do actually enjoy answering questions. It's just the repetitiveness that can get to me a little bit sometimes, where I tend to pop off. Okay, let me bring you on over here. Let's come over here. There we go. This should be good. I hope it's good. Oh, I don't know. It might not be good. We'll see. We'll let this render for a second. But we can see that we do have widespread areas of rain throughout the region this evening that will likely develop. We will then likely have individualized cells. You can see one up there modeled for the Frederick region, but that could maybe happen anywhere. There we go. And you can see these ones down here north of Fredericksburg at about 2 a.m. These are going to be cells that I'm watching. These are going to be embedded cells within the broad scheme of things that could have the potential to rotate. We have lots and lots of atmospheric spin in place. And if we zoom out, you can see where the center of Ida is, right over here. We bring this back a little bit. You can see how she's spinning away out here, moving towards our region. And I want you to know, and you will see this pop up on the Futurecast here in a second, this line here that moves through Charlotte, this line here in Knoxville. These will be the 2 lines that will move through our region tomorrow that will be critically important to watch, because these will likely house our flooding and tornado threat. But let's step back, let's come back to our region and walk through this systematically. So we see as we push this on through by 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, let me get rid of the sidebar there. You can see we do have some of those cells that try to develop. Our model does try to paint these to the west of our region overnight, which would be good news, but these could happen in our region. Again, we're not likely seeing the heaviest rain overnight, but you see by 4 o'clock, our model is trying to put down a nasty thunderstorm here in parts of our region. And it probably won't be right here at this exact time, but this tells you that threat is there. So a wet morning commute is definitely possible. As you push this by 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, by the time you're waking up, kids are probably heading off to school. You're probably dry. Areas of rain are possible. We could be looking at some showers lingering, but I think many of us are dry for tomorrow morning after about 6 or 7. Rain's possible before that, but I think we dry out a little bit as we head to tomorrow morning. Let's head on over towards 8 and 9 o'clock. You see we're not looking at a whole bunch of rain, but we're looking at consistent areas of heavy rain, north and west, and that's why they have that extreme risk. Again, I'm right in here, and so we're watching that threat very closely. My partner Ryan commutes every day for work. I commute every day for school, so that's something we're watching very closely. So again, this isn't just something that it's just impacting you. It impacts a lot of people, and trust me, I get the magnitude that a lot of this can hit with. So by 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, we begin to see rain start to march eastward. And as we zoom out, you can see how we have, not as well defined, but we have those lines, one here, one, like we have different lines setting up, and that will be important to watch. So we likely, and I think, I don't know if we lost that or not. I don't know if I ran out of luck there or not. And I hear the train coming behind me, so it tells me that I probably have. So my apologies if you hear a train whistle. So we'll come back over here. This doesn't have the city names. I'm sorry. I'm actually going to let our computer system get a little bit of a reboot here as we do that. But while we wait for that, we will come back over here to the less amazing version of this without the city names, but we'll work through it. So you can see, again, by tomorrow morning, we are looking at areas of heavy rain beginning to leave the area. Heavy rain will be possible overnight, and I wouldn't even rule out the potential of a spin-up overnight. So stay with JB Weather even tonight. This won't just be a tomorrow morning issue or a tomorrow afternoon issue. Let's continue to push this forward, though. You can see by 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, we start to see that area of heavy rain push into the region. And again, I'm not looking at the camera because I'm trying to make sure that I want to be able to use my other system here because this really helps tell the story, I think. So I want to make sure that I load that loop. But while I wait for that to load, let's come back over here. We can see by 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, we're beginning to see some of those individualized cells outside of the heaviest area of rain. And with that, awesome. I think I'm actually to a point where I can use the other system now. Let me come back over here. There we go. So let's push this back forward here for you. So you can see we're beginning to see some of these individualized storms begin to pop up by about 2 o'clock outside of the heaviest area of rain. So tomorrow morning probably is going to be dry, and you might be thinking this heavy rain threat's a bust. But these storms we have firing up, these will be have the potential to drop between 1 to 2 inches of rain an hour. So that will put down a lot of those rain totals you saw. That'll come in probably 1, 2, 3, 4 hours for you. So as we continue to push this forward, let me kind of zoom back into our region here. By about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, look, 5 o'clock, we're talking about these storms beginning to push into the region. And within these storms, we will likely have embedded areas of rotation allowing for those for that potential spin-up tornadoes. Let's move forward here. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. And it looks like we lose the future cast there. But you can see we have, here's one round that moves through. You can see the second round behind it moving through. And then we have additional areas of rain that try to move through after that. And then by about, I don't know, overnight Thursday, as we head over towards 5, 6 o'clock, we begin to dry out. So, again, and I want to come over here because I do think this helps really tell the story. I just showed you the future cast. It really lines up well with this. Overnight rain tonight, the potential is there. While it's lower, it is there to see a spin-up tornado tonight. I don't think it's widespread. I think the highest threat of that tonight's going to be across parts of western Virginia, but I don't want to rule that threat out. Heavy rain will be possible tonight, but then we see a break in the activity tomorrow morning. But then we pick things right back up as we head towards tomorrow afternoon. I think really someone's car alarm's going off. There's always these small, minute things that tend to happen during these types of like high impact things that just get to me. But then we're likely to see an area, a period of heavy rain redevelop. Really, I think anytime after 12, I think really honing in, it's probably between 4 o'clock-ish and maybe like 9, 10 o'clock-ish. We'll see. But I think, again, anytime tomorrow, you need to be weather aware, and that's potential for spin-up tornadoes will be there. And again, I made this graphic this morning. It probably needs updated, and I'll probably update it tomorrow morning as we start coverage. And I will be here with you all day tomorrow. My professors at school are some of the best. They know that I do this for a living, and I think that might be something that a lot of people miss. They think that this, like, I just post on Facebook for fun, but this is indeed a full-time job. This is a healthy, functioning business, an LLC. I have actual income that is dependent on this. This is a full-time job that I do take seriously and have for a long time, and this will require my full attention tomorrow, and thankfully my professors are okay with me focusing on this tomorrow, supplementing in-person class time with a little bit of virtual online time, which is amazing that they're able to do those things for me. So if you're one of my professors watching, just know I do 100% appreciate that, and I don't expect special treatment at all, but I do appreciate the consideration. But I will be here with you all day tomorrow, continuing to track all of this. I think it's going to be high impact for many areas. So yeah, I think that's what we're talking about. I will try to go through some of the comments. I think we've gotten plenty of comments between the 3 different areas we're broadcasting to: Facebook, Twitter at JB_weather, and on YouTube, youtube.com/JBweather. So I will try my best to get to some of these comments. And if you commented at the beginning of the video and you're still watching, I probably won't be able to get to that because in my little chat bar here that I'm able to see what you're saying, they do disappear after a certain amount of time. And I see right away my sister wants to know the weather for our area. Carrie, I think we're talking about significant flooding risk. I think that, and I don't think the tornado threat's high for us up here in Pennsylvania, but I do think we have one of these rare, extreme, and any people who are interested or have interest or live in southern Pennsylvania, the New York metro area, southern parts of Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, parts of West Virginia, on over towards West Virginia University and Morgantown, do know this is very rare. I have never seen an extreme risk of flash flooding, A, issued for this region, B, issued for this large of a region, and C, issued this much ahead of time. So this is going to be very significant. I think we're talking the potential of 5 to 8, maybe 6 to 10 inches of rain throughout this region. Earlier this morning, many of our computer guidance models were showing the potential for up to a foot of rain here. They've since come down a little bit more towards 6, 7, 8, 9 inches, but that is still a lot of rain, especially considering that for most of the mid-Atlantic, we've seen heavy rain all summer. And this is true down towards southern Maryland. Probably not talking 10 inches of rain, but 1 or 2 inches of rain that falls in just the period of an hour or two will cause significant flooding issues. And you don't need to live in a big city like D.C. or Waldorf or Annapolis to have that happen. It could happen in areas like Solomon's, like I was detailing. It could happen there in Leonardtown, near, let's say, the CSM campus. This could happen up in Prince Frederick there. It could happen on Main Street in Prince Frederick. This could happen up in Shadyside even. Edgewater, on over toward Brandywine. All of these areas. Just because you don't live in a city, you are at least a little bit built up when that potential is there. Serena wants to know about the wind. Let me come back over here. I don't have a graphic for the wind because I don't think it's going to be that big of a story tomorrow, but I think 25 to 35 mile an hour gusts will be possible by and large. But I think within any one specific thunderstorm, you could see wind gusts up to 60 or 70 miles per hour. Michael says it seems like everything's drying up at this point. And Michael, that is true for some communities. I know a few, like the ones yesterday, that saw some of those storms moving through parts of like St. Mary's County there up along the Potomac. Saw a decent amount of rain, and it seems like we'll get a lot of rain over the period of 2 or 3 days, and we'll dry out for a week, and then we'll kind of go through that again. So, yeah, we went from a really wet spring to a little bit of a dry June, July, and now we've kind of picked things back up with the heavy rain. And this is the way it's been, I think, for the last several years, where we don't see much snow, but we see a wet spring. We really dry out at the beginning of summer, and then by the end of summer, something happens, one event happens, and we get into heavy rain. This year, that happened right after Tropical Storm Elsa. Last year, that happened with Hurricane Isaias, parts of St. Mary's County, and they're still doing the analysis. After that event, saw 50 inches of rain between late August and December. In total, parts of the upper St. Mary's County saw like 80 inches of rain, which is a state record. Just crazy to think about. And thank you, Rachel, for the compliment. Goldfish are already ready. Actually, yeah, you can see that here. The box is actually already open. So, yeah, trust me, I'm one step ahead of you. Destiny wants to know if school will happen tomorrow. Again, I think many areas go to school tomorrow. I know that a couple of school districts up where I'm at here in Pennsylvania, again, we're under that really rare extreme risk of flooding, are opting to go virtual. But like my partner Ryan, his school district, they're not making that call, and we're going to see the heaviest rain. So I don't think areas in southern Maryland are going to see that call made. If it's made, I think that's a good call. But I think it really is just going to impact the ride home from school and work tomorrow. And thank you, Patricia. I appreciate the love. And yes, my professors at Shippensburg are amazing, and I think it helps that I tend to be a little bit of a better student. I'm kind of on time with getting my stuff done, and I try to do high caliber work. So I guess it kind of shows that like when you do good things, they may come back for you when you need them. But yeah, no, they're amazing, and I appreciate this. But we're just gonna hope that we don't do this every week, because I can't do this every week, because I do eventually need to get my degree. And yeah, Holly, I think a lot of people are hoping that maybe this could impact school or work, especially given that with the pandemic kind of easing up over the summer before this resurgence. And again, please don't keep the politics out. I do not care your political affiliation. But I think with things kind of getting back to at least a little bit of normal, people are almost kind of missing the remote stuff. Not that they want to do it all the time, but I know I'm kind of missing the remote schooling. So I think a lot of people may just want like a day off, but I don't think this will be it. And thank you, Carrie. You are more than welcome to shoot me a text instead of commenting here on the live stream. But I do appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, and Tina, I think you were saying that St. George Island about flooding when I was talking about flooding. Yeah, those like small island communities. We have Cobb Island, St. George Island, Solomon's Island. I mean, those areas will be susceptible to flooding. How about State College, Pennsylvania? Luckily, I do have a graphic. I think this shows State College. You can see that up there. The heaviest rain likely stays just to your south. Tornado threat way to your south. But you, too, could see 3 to 6 inches of rain pretty easily. Will this be out of here by Thursday morning? Asking from Great Mills? Yes. I do think so. If we come back over here, Futurecast by 6 o'clock, maybe we have one leftover rain shower, but by and large, it is out of here. You can see the remnants of Ida out here, and if I like come out here and let this play out through the entire loop, you can kind of see almost the spinny here and how it moves through, and you can see by 8 o'clock into that dry sector and warm sector, but then we see these lines come through. Heaviest rain up here in Pennsylvania, and then that sticks around, really moving, yeah. Plenty of impacts here for much of the East Coast. Ginger, for school tomorrow, I think to get kids from school, let's come back here a little bit. And I know you were responding to someone's comment, but I can try to help you out a little bit. If we were to zoom in here, again, I wouldn't take Futurecast verbatim, but Futurecast tends to think we could see some stuff beginning to roll in by about 4 or 5 o'clock. Later in the afternoon, evening, the harder time you might have, trying to catch drier time. So earlier the better, I think. Thoughts on Ocean City? Actually, Ocean City is going to be in one of the better locations for this, where they won't see much going on at all. Look at this. We go from almost 7 inches of rain in Hagerstown to barely seeing a third of an inch of rain in Ocean City. They'll see some showers down there. They may see rotating storms, but I think much of that actually stays to the north and west. I think the biggest threat area is going to be from about our region. It's going to be the southern extent of it, up towards about Gaithersburg, Baltimore for that tornado threat, and from about Georgetown, Delaware points north. And then the heaviest rain threat is going to be really from about the 70-70 split there in Frederick points north and west. Oh, and Sharon says that they're doing virtual tomorrow. I think that's a great call. I'm in the Ranch Club and our place is split. Yeah, Linda, I don't know if you were on earlier. I was talking about my very many memories living in the Ranch Club as a kid and as a teenager and as an adult. Yeah, I mean, the Ranch Club, you don't typically think of like these coastal areas as being really hilly. I mean, compared to the hills we have up here in Pennsylvania, it's nothing like that. But you do get these like big dips in these hills, and at the base of those hills, you can get a lot of flooding, and I believe that. What do I think about tornadoes in Huntingtown? Let me bring that up. Yeah, so Huntingtown is in that enhanced tornado risk for tomorrow. I definitely don't want them to go to school tomorrow, but it's going to be, yeah. Tammy, that's the thing. I think getting the kids to school, more than easy tomorrow. I think getting kids home from school tomorrow, that's where the issue has been, or will be. And I have memories as a kid, especially like in high school. I remember one morning, all this like bad weather happened my freshman year of high school. We had the remnants of a tropical system move through, and at like 7 in the morning, we had an active tornado warning. And I was out standing at the bus stop. The school bus picked me up, drove through the crazy whiteout rain, and then once we got to school, the school gathered everyone over at Patuxent. I think it was like in the basement, and everyone stood down there for like 15 minutes, and I went the entire day drenched because the rain was so heavy. And where I lived in the Ranch Club, the bus picked us up at 6:30, and I was to the bus stop by 6:15 because you never know with the bus schedule. Oh, that's to say, schools tend to not want to alter their schedules just for severe weather, which is crazy to say, but that doesn't tend to be the case. Now, given that we have virtual options, they may opt to, and clearly Stafford, Virginia schools have, but we'll have to see. How many hours will the heaviest rain hit us? Let me bring you back to the timeline, and I think this will help answer that question for you, Sue. And yeah, I think it's smart that if the Stafford schools are indeed going virtual for you. Yeah, so Ginger, you're saying a little northwest of Rockville. Yeah, Rockville, you're going to see rain and the tornado threat. Anything else that we should look out for? If you're talking in terms of the tropics, we do now have a brand new tropical depression 12 that will stay out to sea, though. Way, way, way out to sea. And actually, I could probably show you that on the National Hurricane Center website. So if we come over here. While you can see Ida, hurricane or tropical storm Julian formed, and that moved out to sea. We have tropical storm Kate. That's going to meander out here. Tropical depression 12 will be the next thing to watch. All indications, though, and I can show you that here quickly. Let me come over here quickly. Okay, let me come back over here. All current model indication, and if I actually come over here, we'll loop this, and again, this is a little bit of these like behind the scenes things, so thank you for those of you that stick around. You can kind of see what goes into weather forecasting a little bit. This is one of our model sites, weathernerds.org. So this is going to be plotting. This is one of our models, and this is the European model, which is the parent model, and then it has ensemble members. Think of those as the kids of the model. The European has 50 ensembles. That means it has 50 kids. And each ensemble takes what the parent model gives it, that information, and kind of tweaks it a little bit. So if you think about, like, if you're a parent and you have kids, those kids are biologically yours, but they're tweaked a little bit and they're not exactly the same as you. Think of that for our ensemble members. And each one of these little lines you will see developing on these little L's. Those are different ensemble members. So just kind of look at where they go to get a general idea of where our models are showing tropical systems to move. I hope that makes sense. The background color here indicates pressure. So this would be an area high pressure. Kind of more orangey the color, higher the pressure. And then hurricanes are areas of low pressure, and the lines will be colored here based off of this. I wasn't planning on showing this or talking about this, but so down here would be Tropical Depression 12. You can see it moves eastward, and you can see how Ida moves through our region. It moves westward, but then it likely is going to start to recurve a little bit out here to sea. Now, models kind of differ on how much it recurves, but it doesn't. I mean, maybe we have one model out of 50 that tries to kind of throw it this way, but many of our models kind of keep this out to sea. So I wasn't planning on talking about this, but at Ellsbury, Solomon, should kayaks be moved from the river shoreline? Maybe. That's kind of hard to call. I don't think we're talking about like a big coastal flooding threat. We will have some gusty winds, so maybe as a precaution, maybe, yeah. Betty, thank you for loving JB Weather. I appreciate that. Yeah, Tammy, you know what? Going through that experience, I think you're taking to the part of the comments now where I was talking about being in a tornado warning my freshman year of high school. I mean, everything was fine, I think, but that's something that schools have to think about and really kind of, I don't want to say what's worth it, but what is the safest option? So I will trust the school it's the school professionals to make that decision. I'm in no position to judge that. Let's see, not feeling it. My Towson class starting tomorrow. Have fun with that, Rebecca. Yeah, my classes just started, so I get the dread A of classes starting, but be traveling in like adverse weather conditions. Linda's in Morgantown, and actually I think I'm Morgantown. You can see that on some of my graphics here. If I can, I'm going to come over here. Tornado threats, zilch. Yeah, Morgantown, out here near West Virginia University. Yeah, you're in that extreme risk of flooding tomorrow. That's really rare. That's why I'm thinking that they will dismiss school. Tammy, we will see. I have never once, I've been doing this professionally for 8 years, and then I spent K through 12 in the Calvert County Public Schools. Not once did school close or close early for severe weather or flooding. Now, with that said, we had school closed for hurricanes. We had, Hurricane Isabel, Hurricane Irene. But with that said, schools never closed for us either for cold or for wind, both of which has happened in the last 3, 4, 5 years. So I don't want to say it's impossible. If I had to put school odds out, I'd probably say 20-30% chance that schools get affected. I'd say out of that, most of that is probably a close early, but I don't think that's the likeliest scenario to happen, and you have to think about getting buses together. Well, no, I think by 11 or 12 in the morning of schools will do that. Calvert County schools actually have not closed schools early, like done a 2-hour early dismissal since my junior year of high school, which was like 9 or 10 years ago at this point. And trust me, I would know that between being in school and then also, doing this. Let's see, flooding risk on the plate at Christine. You are sitting right there at a significant flooding risk. I think, again, 1 to 3 inches of rain is possible there for you. See, I'm in Indian Head. Should we keep an eye out looking at the track? Looks like it's coming across Dale City. Let me come back over here to Futurecast. Where is this on my screen of screens? Yeah, so let's come over here. I think you're really referencing that tornado risk. Things will be working from the southwest to the northeast tomorrow, so right in here in Indian Head, you know where your little peninsula is over here in Charles County. We can see this really move through, I think, around that time. I wouldn't hold firm where these models are. Where they're putting the rain. I mean, I don't think the radar will look like this at 5 o'clock tomorrow. I don't think we'll have an actual thunderstorm right over Pittsburgh and Indian Head, but this gives you a general idea. Heidi, Leonardtown. I need to come back here. Elevated risk for flooding. Probably around 1.5 inches of rain. Flash flood watch is in effect, and then here we go. This is what I wanted. That tornado threat and heavy rain threat probably focused on tomorrow afternoon and evening. But yeah, so this is everything we're keeping an eye on. Tomorrow will be an active weather day for the 120 of you that are still watching after 42 minutes. I don't think many of you have actually watched that long, but for those of you that have, kudos to you. But I do think tomorrow will be an active weather day. So it will be critically important that you stay weather aware. I will be here with you in the Weather Center all day tomorrow to continue to keep you updated on all of this. Again, I cover many of our different areas, Calvert County, Charles County, St. Mary's, Anne Arundel, PG, King George, and Westmoreland counties over there on the northern neck. So I do think this will be a high-impact weather day, and it will be critically important to stay weather aware. Flooding possible. Tornadoes could be possible. I don't think we're talking like a Midwestern tornado outbreak, though, and I think that's where maybe some of the messaging gets lost. That maybe that's what people think I could be talking about, or other people could be talking about. I don't think we're talking about long track EF5 tornadoes with like 300-mile-an-hour winds. I do think we're probably talking about 1, 2, 3, I would say maybe a handful of rotating storms in total tomorrow that could produce tornadoes that have winds between 60 and 100 miles per hour. That's possible. So know your tornado safety precautions. And I'll put this up. I'm going to say this. We don't have a tornado warning right now. I don't. Or we don't. I have this graphic always on standby, though, from when we go live for tornado warnings. But take a look at what's on this list. Know where you're going to be tomorrow and what a substantial shelter would be, where the indoors would be. Move to the lowest level of your home. Think of where that is. I grew up as a kid in the ranch club in a single-story ranch-style home. We did not have a basement, and I think one out of our 10 neighbors did. The only room we had that didn't touch a wall was the family bathroom. And that's the main thing. You want to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Now, some people live in apartment complexes. What do you do if you live on the second floor? The first and primary thing you want to do is put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Then the secondary thing, get as low as you can. So I live currently in the second story of a 3-story apartment building. I don't foresee myself going to my downstairs neighbors that I've never met before and say, hey, can I ride this out with you? I could, I guess. But you want to get into an interior room, as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So think about where that could be. And you want to cover your head and body. Growing up, my mom would have us put a mattress over our heads in the tubs. And that stuff, it seems weird. And why would you do that? If tornado's really going to hit you at that point, you're probably, things aren't looking good for you. But those things make a difference. God forbid, a tornado hits your home, it moves through, you have flying debris, you want it to hit that mattress and not you. So keep those types of things in mind. Know where your important documents are. You want to have all these things in place. So keep that in mind for tomorrow. I don't think we're talking a widespread tornado outbreak, but tornado warnings are possible tomorrow. I'm not forecasting them. You can't forecast a tornado warning. I don't think we're talking widespread long track F5 tornadoes, but we are talking the potential for rotating storms that could produce some tornadoes tomorrow, and you will want to know what to do if you get placed under a tornado warning, and that threat is enhanced tomorrow. That is level 3 out of 5. We see that maybe 2, 3, 4 times a year, and this is all tornado driven tomorrow. The severe weather risk is from tornadoes, not from wind, and it's not from hail. It is from tornadoes. And that's not to scare you. It's just to let you know we're probably a good 18 hours out from our first tornado warning if we see one tomorrow. So this is giving you plenty of time to know what to do, where to go. If one of these storms, God forbid, were to impact you, what's the difference between a watch and a warning? And I don't know. I really hope I have this graphic loaded up. And I think a lot of you know which graphic I'm going to try to pull up right now. Do I have it? Do I have it? No, it's the taco watch, taco warning. No, I know I have this somewhere. But know the difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning. I think that is one of the things a lot of people don't seem to know is what that difference is. So just, there it is. I found the Facebook post for it. Let me come over here. Yeah, so this would be my Facebook feed. But, yeah, so what's the difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning? The same difference between a taco watch and a taco warning. The potential is there for a taco or a tornado with a watch. When we have a warning, we're talking about an actual taco or an actual tornado. So know this difference. This will be important. These are all the things you want to keep in mind as you head throughout tomorrow. So, yeah, so that was me going on a tangent. A little bit of a tangent, but oh wait, no, I think okay, I am on the right thing. I think so. Yeah, so do keep this in mind, please. I'm gonna come back here. So let's go ahead and take this off, and before we head out of here, I will leave you with this. You can find all of this information, all of these details on jbweather.net. I recommend you go over there, follow Twitter and Instagram and the Facebook for those of you not watching over there. So tomorrow will be active, but I'll be here with you, guiding you one step through it with my trusty goldfish. You all know it's like we're back in winter. I will be here with you. There's no need to worry at this point. Whatever is going to happen will happen. You just have to be prepared for what could happen. And if it doesn't happen, don't be pissed. Don't be angry that I didn't get a tornado. Be grateful. We just saw what happened down in Louisiana and Alabama with all these flash floods, all these tornadoes, and be happy that you didn't get the worst of it. And I'm letting you know we could see some nasty weather tomorrow. But it is what it is. We need to know how we would respond if we're in one of those situations. But I'm getting off my soapbox now. I could go on about this forever. So. But thank you so much for joining me this evening. Again, I'm forecasting. Forecasting and covering much of Southern Maryland, all of Southern Maryland, the Northern Neck, much of the Mid-Atlantic. And I'll be able to keep you one step ahead of all of this. And follow as many weather outlets as you need to make sure you get weather warnings tomorrow. So active weather day, head over to Facebook, Twitter. All those links are over here on the sidebar. Instagram, the website for the latest information. But thank you for joining me this evening, and I'm sure we'll be talking again tomorrow. So have a nice and safe one, and please keep it tuned right here to JB Weather for weather information you can count on.
Check the forecast anytime online at jbweather.net.